Hi, everybody. Karen Roby here with Tiernan Ray for ZDNet. We're talking about fighting climate change with AI, how AI can be of a help in this fight. I know, Tiernan, you put a great article together on this from a conference that you listened into from December. I know there's a catch, though. It's not that easy. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Karen, this was NORIP's, one of the biggest conferences in the whole artificial intelligence landscape, happened in mid-December in Vancouver. And it gathered together some prominent names in AI, such as Andrew Ng and Yoshua Bengio, and a keynote speaker, Jeff Dean. It's actually run by a bunch of young academics who are at institutions around the world. And they've done some tremendous work in bringing together all kinds of research projects, things to make manufacturing smarter, things to make buildings more efficient in, say, the HVAC systems, things to make transportation, electric cars more efficient, even better materials for solar panels, all with the goal of ultimately, of course, trying to reduce the carbon emissions in the world. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, part of the UN, has said that unless emissions are sharply reduced in the next decade or so, we could be facing some cataclysmic climate events. So that was the idea, was bring all these smart people together in one place and have them talk about what can AI do.
Yeah, and that's always the way, of course, to get things done, Tiernan, get people together and more minds together. But it sounds like from your article, obviously, that there is a catch here and kind of a paradox, if you will, of when you do refine things and these techniques that you could actually make things worse. Explain.
Things are not a silver bullet, Karen. You can have all these technologies and machine learning optimize various things. For example, you can make designs for electric cars that are better. You can make designs for manufacturing systems, including logistics, including transportation of goods, raw goods and materials, more efficient. All these things can be optimized, but it's not necessarily the case that they will immediately lead to emissions or ever lead to emissions simply by optimizing. Take, for example, ride sharing. You could optimize ride sharing with more sophisticated predictions of where people need to go in a metropolitan area. However, there's a paradoxical effect. It's actually referred to as the Jevons Paradox that is cited by numerous authors in the studies in this climate change group, where if you optimize something like ride sharing and you get more people to use ride sharing, you might end up with more miles traveled in aggregate, and that could increase the carbon footprint. So you can't just assume that if you put AI to work and you optimize things, it will lead to reduced emissions. It sometimes can have a paradoxical effect where it produces the opposite. It increases demand, increases utility, and thereby increases activity and emissions.
So it's definitely, Tiernan, it sounds like a puzzle of sorts. Was there anything that came out of the conference, though, as far as suggestions or steps that we can take from here to make sure we aren't producing the opposite effect of what we want?
The big message, Karen, was for the participants in the field, the people doing AI, to think about the societal impact of what they're doing. It's not enough to design cool neural networks that will solve some kind of optimization function if it doesn't lead to positive results. Yoshua Bengio, who was one of the panelists, who is a prominent developer of deep learning systems for AI, quipped at one point, public shaming might be the answer to projects in AI that are not conducive to reducing emissions. So there was some real practical thought here about what needs to be done in terms of how you think about what you're developing. Carla Gomes, a scholar from Cornell University, said, we can't keep building these AI systems for one single objective or one optimization. We have to think about the multiple impacts. If we do one thing over here, what does it affect over there? So at least for the people in the field, maybe this is a wake-up call, thinking about how does the stuff you build actually affect the real world if it's going to be put out there.
All right, a lot to think about, as always, Tiernan. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you. As always, if you want to learn more about AI, Tiernan's article, and much more, make sure you check out ZDNet. Thanks for watching.